Have you ever thought that simply reheating your leftovers could be silently harming you? Imagine your microwave dings, you grab your plate, and you're unknowingly serving up toxins that may lead to cancer, dementia, or chronic illness. This isn't fear-mongering. This is science. Let me explain. As a doctor who has seen far too many avoidable health issues caused by simple everyday mistakes in the kitchen, let me take you back to one particular case that still haunts me. Karthik, a 29-year-old software engineer in Bangalore, fit as a fiddle and seemingly healthy, collapsed at work one afternoon. No underlying conditions. But when we looked into his lifestyle, one habit stood out. He frequently reheated his meals. Spinach curry, rice, potatoes, every day. He believed he was eating healthy, but the way those foods were prepared and consumed was harming him. And he's not alone. Spinach is where we'll begin. Fresh spinach is incredibly healthy. It's high in iron, nitrates, and antioxidants. But when cooked and then reheated, the nitrates transform into nitrites and further into nitrosamines. These nitrosamines are known carcinogens. Now imagine eating reheated spinach regularly. That's a slow, consistent exposure to compounds that can mutate your cells. I've had patients with gastrointestinal cancers, and often they're puzzled. They don't smoke or drink. They exercise, but they eat leftover reheated spinach every day. That adds up. Let's talk about rice. It's a staple food for more than half the world, but few know that improperly stored rice can be dangerous. When rice is cooked and left at room temperature too long, it becomes a petri dish for a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This bacteria doesn't just spoil food, it produces toxins that are heat resistant. So even if you reheat your rice, those toxins remain. Patients have come to me with stomach cramps, nausea, and chronic gut issues, never suspecting their innocent bowl of rice was the trigger. Eggs, a morning favorite, can turn harmful if not consumed properly. I once treated a patient who developed severe food poisoning after microwaving boiled eggs. The protein structure in eggs is fragile. When reheated, especially in a microwave, those proteins denature and release harmful compounds. In some rare cases, they can even explode, inside or outside your body. That may sound extreme, but I've seen cases of gastric distress traced back to reheated omelets and scrambled eggs. Potatoes, another kitchen staple, can go wrong too. When cooked and left at room temperature for too long, especially when wrapped in aluminum foil, they provide an environment for Clostridium botulinum. This bacteria can cause botulism, a rare but potentially fatal illness. Even when not fatal, the toxins can damage your gut lining and affect your nervous system. I urge my patients to always refrigerate cooked potatoes within 2 hours and reheat only once. Then there are mushrooms, rich in nutrients, delicious, and a favorite in soups and stir-fries. But mushrooms have a delicate protein structure. When you cook and reheat them, especially more than once, their proteins break down into harmful compounds that create oxidative stress. This stress contributes to aging, memory loss, and even diseases like Alzheimer's. Elderly patients in my clinic often consume reheated mushroom soups, unaware that their diet could be aggravating cognitive decline. Chicken is a major concern. It's a favorite among health enthusiasts and bodybuilders. But I often remind my patients, chicken must be reheated with great care. Uneven heating in a microwave can leave parts undercooked while other parts are overcooked. Worse, the fats in chicken, especially if it's fried or cooked with oil, can oxidize when reheated. These oxidized fats are inflammatory and are linked to heart disease and even cancers. I've had to work with patients managing chronic inflammation due to these very eating habits. Beets are our last concern. Like spinach, they're high in nitrates. When fresh, they help blood flow and improve stamina. But once reheated, they follow the same path. Nitrates turn to nitrosamines. I've had athletes and fitness-focused clients come in with liver complaints and fatigue, and after examining their diet, we found they were reheating beetroot smoothies or soups regularly. So what should you do? First, don't panic. Knowledge is power. Food should heal, not harm. Avoid reheating these 7 foods altogether if you can. Eat spinach, beets, and mushrooms fresh. If you must store rice or potatoes, refrigerate them within 1 hour of cooking and never reheat more than once. With chicken and eggs, either eat them cold from the fridge or reheat gently and thoroughly on the stove instead of the microwave. Remember, bacteria like Bacillus cereus and Clostridium botulinum thrive in certain temperatures. Toxins like nitrosamines and oxidized fats develop when we expose foods to high reheating temperatures. You don't need to remember every chemical name, just the basic principle. Some foods change for the worse when reheated. Not all food is safe just because it's hot. Karthik's story has repeated in many forms in my career. I've treated dozens of patients with unexplained digestive issues, mysterious chronic fatigue, and inflammatory conditions. Often we trace it back to diet, and more often than you'd expect, the root cause is reheated food. Your kitchen can be a sanctuary, a place where healing starts, but it requires mindfulness. The convenience of modern appliances like microwaves can't replace traditional wisdom and a little caution. Reheat with purpose, not habit. Know what changes in your food as it cools and heats again. Ask yourself, is this still nourishing my body? And if you've learned something valuable today, share this knowledge. Because diseases don't always start with big symptoms. They often begin with small, repeated mistakes. Stay safe, eat smart, and let food be your medicine, not your silent enemy. We often think of food as either healthy or unhealthy, but rarely do we consider what happens after it's cooked. The truth is, the way we handle and reheat our meals can quietly transform something nourishing into something harmful. Not overnight, not dramatically, but slowly, subtly, and consistently. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. Because spinach, rice, eggs, potatoes, these aren't the enemies, they're whole. Good foods when fresh, but when we don't store them properly or reheat them again and again without thinking, their chemistry changes. And sometimes those changes introduce toxins or allow bacteria to thrive in ways our bodies just can't tolerate. I've seen too many patients who live clean lives, no alcohol, no cigarettes, regular workouts, yet they suffer from unexplained fatigue, gut issues, inflammation, or worse. When we dig into their daily routines, it's often the small things, like the same reheated spinach curry for lunch, or rice left out too long, then microwaved the next day. These habits feel harmless because they're so common, but common doesn't mean safe. Food safety isn't just about checking expiration dates. It's about understanding what heat, time, and temperature do to what we eat. It's about breaking the autopilot routine and asking better questions about what we're putting into our bodies. That doesn't mean living in fear of your microwave. It just means being thoughtful. Some foods are best eaten fresh. Others need to be stored quickly, reheated carefully, and never more than once. These small acts of mindfulness can make a big difference in your long-term health. You deserve meals that heal, not harm, food that energizes, not exhausts. The kitchen should be your safe space, not a source of slow damage. And the beauty is, you have full control. It starts with what you do the next time you reach into your fridge. So slow down, be curious, and take a moment to rethink your habits. Because often, it's not the big decisions that shape our health. It's the quiet, everyday ones we make without even noticing.